Okay, I think we're having a full house now. For the mentors, I've got Chintan, I've got Owuna. Faiz, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you clearly. And I have Kate, so we have 4 of the mentors in now.
Mm.
I think I'm having some issues with the camera on my system. So it's looking a bit distracting. So I might sort of switch it off. Apologies. If I try and fix it at the back end, if it works, then I'll bring it back on. Sorry. So we don't. I just don't know what's happening. They don't listen to me at all. Okay. Okay. Didier, it's on your queue.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this evening's session. Thank you, mentors, for showing up as usual, and then founders. Who are we missing? We're missing
Larry Phillips.
Okay, yet to join us. Okay. So founders, we have John Akombi, John Uzo, we have Sarah and Afolabi and Abubakar. Who else are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more person. Okay. Anyway, so we'll just go straight into the program and start. So tonight is our session on hiring and onboarding, and the goal is to help the founders with strategies on how best, to hire for their startup companies. So the mentors are going to speak to the different ways and the do's and the don'ts and practices. So we're all ears as usual, and looking forward to a great session tonight. So you're very, 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 very welcome. And as usual, we will go on with the working group reports from the working group leaders. And the mentors are familiar, so we're cutting out introductions, but maybe as you begin your presentation, you can now introduce yourself. Yeah, but we'll also drop your your LinkedIn profile in the chat box for the founders. So, Mr. Shegun, over to you now. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Ma. So the ball has begun to roll. Mentors, thanks for being here. Founders, it's great. tonight we'll move on straight. The director has spoken, so we'll move on straight to working group reports. We'll be communicating with you guys all. We know there's sort of like an imbalance in your working group now. We'll create a balance and then see what we can do about it. So, which of the groups wants to go first? I think we've gone beyond all of that formality. So, which group wants to, do their reports first?
I'll go for the explorers.
Okay, great.
Okay, so we're 5 in the group. Nobody dropped out, thankfully, and everybody is incorporated now. In terms of submitting their documents, 3 have submitted their documents. The only 2, that's Abubakar, you must be aware, his lawyer is talking to you at the back end, so that just for 1 or 2 issues. So hopefully that will be completed soon. And then for John had already sent his, but you required him to add 2 other directors in, so he's going to do that, amend that, and then resend. So it's more or less completed. Every other thing, everybody seems fine with office hours. Yeah, nothing strange to add. Then we added, we had communicated with the other group, because they are just 2. I don't know if 2 is a group at all. So as you've already addressed it, you do something about it. Probably put all of us in one group. Even if you don't, we'll do it unofficially.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's great. It's great that the MD heard that, so no problem. We'll see what would happen. I don't see 2 members of your group here. Daniel Livingstone is in your group, right?
Yes, I actually spoke to him 3 minutes before this meeting started. I was actually in a training or meeting or something like that, but he was supposed to join. He said he would join, make out time. So I will message him at the back end while the meeting is going on, just to try and hear from him. And
okay,
everybody else is here. Only
okay, yeah, that's true. Okay, the group that doesn't seem like a group, Empowered. Who is doing your report? Is it Emeka or Afolabi? Which one of you? You
Okay,
just said
me.
they threw a jab at you. They say you guys don't look like a group.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
How are you?
We are very fine. We are a non-existent group. We are empowered. So over the last 2 weeks or so, a couple of our teammates, they dropped out. So he slid me and Emeka.
Okay.
So hopefully it will get reshuffled and we get new teammates or we get added to John's group. But we're excited to see what the future holds. So
will I assume that you guys didn't manage yourself as a group properly, as a team properly? Why the high dropout rate, particularly at this stage of program, when you notice that things have gotten more focused? Why would you think that you guys had a high dropout rate?
Oh, okay. I would say what's called is schedule, because some people, they are working on their startup, also working for companies. So I think maybe the schedule was a little bit tight and all that. So that's what I think was an issue concerning the high rate of dropout from our group.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So anything to report from anyone else that wasn't captured by the group presidents? Anything you want to say, just very briefly? Okay, great. So I assume there's nothing. So we'll move on straight to the next item, which is hot seats. Mentors, please, you could help us with the rating. The rating link is there. So I would like to make the last person go first. So Afolabi, it looks like you're geared to pitch your idea today. Yes, you're smiling, so you're ready. Are you ready for us? You're a co-founder, and I noticed your co-founder had always been the one doing your pitch. So somehow the lot has fallen on you. And I hope you're not comfortably thinking, oh, I've never been selected, no problem, I'll just chill. So are you ready?
Yeah, so.
Okay. So it's 5 minutes. Are you sharing your screen or?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Can you see it?
Okay, saying your screen is sharing.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Flavi, and I am the co-founder of SMS Protect. So our mission statement is to give back control and data of information to the owner. So what are we trying to solve? Well, notice that in recent times, there's been increase in loss of asset and financial and personal record due to rise in fraudulent phishing attacks. We noticed between 2016 to 2012, 2016, there were just over 700,000 phishing attacks. But from 2020 to 2022, there have been over 400 million. That's about 60,000 times growth difference. So supporting data, 85% of phishing attacks that are carried out on mobile phones do not involve email, meaning they require SMS, which most of us use to carry out our banking, our personal information and stuff like that. So this is a user story. So this Mr. Femi is a 40-year-old man, he's a businessman. He spends time with his family, watches football like most of the guys here do. Then recently heard about phishing at successful phishing being carried out. So what are we building? We're building a SaaS mobile application that will scan your SMS, check the context of the SMS, and also check if they're embedded links, because most SMSs nowadays, some of them comes with links and all that. And the SMS may not be a spam SMS, but the link embedded will lead to what's called a spam sites whereby your data and malware will be installed. Malware will be stored on your phone, then your data will be stolen. Then we also alert users of any fraudulent SMS that our system gets. So what does our product contain? It contains the state-of-the-art artificial intelligence model. It has a privacy feature because at SMS Protect, privacy is our number one rule, because they are giving us access to your private life, to your affairs. So privacy is guaranteed to SMS Protect. We also have an inbuilt URL checker to check URLs to ensure that URLs are not embedded with malwares that can attack you and take your information. So this is a working prototype of our SMS Protect platform. So it's able to successfully detect a spam SMS. What's our go-to-market strategy? Well, before then, our target market. Our targeting smartphone users, we're targeting mobile network operators, we're targeting SMEs, and targeting banks. Our competitive landscape. So what differentiates us between between ourselves and competitors, which is Truecaller and GMS? We don't just scan the number that sends the SMS. We scan the context of the SMS. We also scan the URL of the SMS using AI model that has recognized attacking pattern. So our business model, we have freemium, premium, gold, and SMEs. So for our freemium is you have a limited number of scans you can do, but it also comes ads. Our premium, no ads, with a limited number of scans. Our gold, or limited number of scans, but the gold is for individual users. While we also have SMEs. For SMEs, you have to buy our license, then we'll give you the app for a restricted number of users. If you want more users, you have to pay more. I'll go to market strategy. So we are planning to go very aggressive with marketing because a lot of people don't know much about smishing attacks. So I'll go to market strategy to go aggressive in marketing, create good marketing campaigns, partner with existing social media, social engineering companies to create awareness, join social engineering communities on Telegram, on Discord to push our products out there so that people can know that there's a solution that can protect them. So also plan to partner with telcos and bank because those are very critical parts for our SMS because banks and all that deals with SMS for our banking transaction and all that. So these are product roadmap. We plan on becoming a full-fledged cybersecurity company by 2024. We plan on also going into data, becoming data assurance, whereby we show your data, protect your data, and if God forbid, but one or two things was able to penetrate and see your data, will give you a certain recompense. So who are we? This is a company. So we have a combined
The
experience.
time is up. Thank you. The time is up. We'll get thank you. We'll get feedback from Faiz and Chintan. Faiz and Chintan. Faiz and Chintan will get feedback from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope I'm audible. Hello.
Yes, we hear you. You're audible.
All right. All right. So good on, I would say, content delivery. Please practice. Time also needs to be practiced. One thing, I mean, does your AI tool scan all the messages automatically, or user has to manually submit the SMS for scanning? How does it work?
Sorry, I didn't get that. I didn't catch that. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm picking up things from your pricing model. You said 2,500 naira for scanning 30 messages a month. So does your tool automatically pick up the SMSs from inbox and scan it, or user has to manually submit it? Because the question, the decision point here is, after paying 2,500 naira, would a person wish to scan or SMS by paying you around 80 naira?
So our model automatically scans the SMS for you. So once you get an SMS, our product automatically scans the SMS, and if it has any fraudulent or recognized missing patterns, we alert you that okay, this SMS has a recognizable smishing pattern, or the URL embedded is known for.
What is your intention? Your intention is to encourage users and onboard users, or you want to discourage users? I do not want the answer, but think it through. Because what I feel, you are actually trying to hard sell the 5,000 naira a month pack, then allowing the customers to try your technology and then convert them. So that is one feedback. Second feedback, please try to deliver the pitch. Third feedback, the roadmap. It is not, I mean, from where you got the inspiration of developing such a roadmap, wherein there are 4 points, year 22, 23, 24, and 25, and just one milestone is written. Would you be kind enough to tell me when are you going live? Is it in January 2023 or December 2023? It's a joke. This roadmap slide is a joke. Either you, if you decide to present it well, present it with passion. Do not present half-cooked information in this fashion. You may be super intelligent, but never believe customers are not wise enough. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chintan. Faiz?
Yeah, hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think obviously over time, a lot of work has been done and there's been refinements and improvement in defining the business, the model, and so on. And I believe there is opportunity. Security is very important, and the issue of fraud is always on the increase. People trying to deceive people and so on. So yeah, I like the thoughts about the AI, and so on. So my concern or feedback is how to validate. Like how do you really, because you can think of how to go about this, how to start, but when you go live, you might now find out customers even have more pressing issues. So how to quickly validate and pivot where necessary, I think for me is not really clear. It's good to really think of how to start and when will you get your first paying customer? What do you need to do to get to that level? It will help you really in fast tracking your progress. I also like the thoughts around, looking at different customer segment, like you mentioned, the telco, which is also important. I know since this message has come through them, I don't know what kind of security framework do they put in place, but I believe they are aware and they pay attention to these things. But if you are able to crack that and come with a superior solution for that market, it's going to be a huge one. But it also suggests you think of more value add-on, not what other challenge do these security and telco companies have, and with what you are bringing to the table using AI and so on, will it be, a game changer? Maybe even increase their revenue or block leakages. I think that will go a long way, but obviously it requires a lot of work. And I also align with Chinton. I think the passion, honestly, wasn't really, we can't see. It's like you also don't believe in this. So you need to, probably you are so tired. So next time maybe you need to prepare better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Faiz. Thank you, Chintan. Okay, so we'll move on to the next founder, John Akombi, and we'll be getting feedback from Kate and Owuno. John Akombi, you're presenting, and we'll be getting feedback from Owuno and Kate. John Akombi, are you ready? Share your screen when you're ready. I'm sure you knew you were presenting before now. Your screen is coming up.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I am John Akombi. the CEO
time
of
has
Christas.
started.
CEO of Christas. Christas is an online marketplace, a B2B marketplace where we want to connect local industrialists to resellers. So our tagline is African product, our pride. Our vision is to be the largest marketplace where quality goods can be sourced globally. So what's the problem we are tackling? The issue of low patronage of local products is a prevalent problem affecting local industries in Nigeria. Consumer perception about the quality is the leading cause of this problem. And it's because of the quality, consumers perceive that, okay, local products are of low quality, they are of low package, they have poor packaging. So hence, they are not patronizing local products. Here is the statistics. In 2017, unsold inventory stood at about 320 billion naira. It increased by 17% in 2018, and then another 17% in 2019. It maintained these statistics by Q1 2020. So because of this, local industries are shutting down. So what is the solution? We are trying to increase awareness of quality local brands in Nigeria to boost patronage. So we are offering an e-commerce marketplace where we onboard quality local brands and connect them to consumers who are ready to buy local products. So here's the market size. In Africa, the current TM is about $37 billion. And in Nigeria alone, its serviceable addressable market is about $6 billion. And our projection in about 18 months is $1 million US. So here's the business model. How do we make money? So in this selling products less than 50,000 naira per month, they will pay 3,000 naira. And those who are selling above 1 million are expected to pay 35 million. It's going to be a pay as you go model because Nigerians don't want to pay for a product they have not started using or have not started getting values from. So here are our competitors. We have Omnivis, we have Red Cloud, we have Alazo who are servicing retailers in the industry. And we have indirect competitors like the business to consumers. We have Jumia, we have Konga, and we have Gigi. So our competitive advantage is to give local industries access to raw materials and consumers a brand they can trust for quality local products. Our go-to-market. We've already started our pre-launch and we've started reaching out to customers on social media. We've started reaching out to entrepreneurs associations too, like Tony Elumelu, and we also want to partner with Smedan. We also want to use affiliate marketing to get to local industries. Then for the buyers, we are offering them sign-up bonus, and then we are offering a social cost promotion where we promote African made. And then we are also giving out referral marketing where they refer and they get paid. So our landing page, this is our progress. Our landing page was ready in December 2022, and we started our pre-launch campaign in January. Till date, we have 5 signups, and we are planning to launch by March 2023. Okay, here's the team. I am the CEO, John Akabi. I have 3 years plus when it comes to training management. And I have David Ikechukwu as the COO, who has experience when it comes to sales operation. He has over 3 years of experience when it comes to sales operation. We have the Chief Financial Officer, Adekweju Adedikweko, has over 5 years in micro banking. And then we have Moyolua Babalola, who has over 3 years experience in content marketing. Our ask is $500,000 for market development to execute our go-to-market strategies and to fund team hire. We are also looking for advisors, experts in e-commerce marketing and e-commerce operations. So Christas is not just another e-commerce platform. We are trying to build wealth for Africa. Thank you.
Thank you there, John. Thank you for that. So we'll get feedback from Kate and Ouno and Kate, whichever one. Feedback for John Akombi.
Okay, let me go first. Well, okay. First of all, for the presentations I've seen so far, considering that I have missed from the last time that I was here to this time, I've seen improvements so far in the presentations. I've seen significant improvement. It means that you people have immersed yourselves in the program and you're doing well. It's just that, you know, looking at the product, I've had to go back to your profile to look at it. There's just something about the presentation, building wealth, Kristas, building wealth for Africa. There's just something about the presentation that does not really, you know, give me a buy-in, will not make me want to invest as an investor, right? You said your USP is access to raw materials. I don't know whether I'm struggling, you know. There's just something that does not communicate to me that this is a sellable idea. Because if you say in your, can we go back to the competitor page so that I can, your competitors, your direct competitors, okay. And your indirect, I don't really know your direct competitors, but your indirect competitors are well known in the market space, Jumia, Konga, Digi, right? And so I'm wondering, really, you know, in terms of with access, I don't know, but I'm really struggling. There's just something that's not convincing about it. From, you know, how do you intend to compete with your competitors? You know, how do you intend to overtake them? You know, so I'm coming from an investor's perspective. I feel like maybe in your delivery as well, you know, there's just something that's not, I'm missing passion, and then I'm not clear on the information. It's not enough. If I met you in an elevator, or if I had a chance to, if I had 2 minutes to sit with you, I don't know whether at the end of this, I'll say, okay, I'd really like to listen, I'd want another meeting, you know? So maybe you should, you know, I think you should improve on the way your own presentation, first of all, your communication with passion, and then really talk about what, maybe elaborate a little bit. You manage your time well, which is good. So you have time to elaborate on your competitive advantage. I think that's where I'm struggling with, you know, because your indirect competitors offer something similar, particularly GG. So I don't know, you know, where you want to sit in the mix.
Thank you.
I don't know if this my feedback. I don't know if this my feedback is helpful or is making it, because you're looking confused. Like, okay, what does she really want me to do?
I'm sure he's picking up the points, and we'll work on it.
Yes, so sell your competitive advantage, you know, access to raw materials, you know, how, you know, just a little bit, you know, that will make somebody want to hear more. Yeah, sell it more, I think, yeah.
Thank you, Kate. Ouna?
Okay, hi guys. So thanks for the presentation. I will highlight the changes from the last time you guys presented this deck. I do like that you've trimmed down, right? I think on your last presentation, you're talking about some of the other things. So it's clear that the feedback was taken on board. Nonetheless, I think Kate has made it a little bit easier for me to give some feedback. So first and foremost, you have to get professional design, guys, right? Like, guys, this deck looks, I'm sorry, I have to speak very plainly. It does look amateurish. does not look, it's not professional design. This is someone just open PowerPoint and, you know, type some stuff. You have to do better, right? There's so many tools out there. I mean, Canva has tons of deck templates that are kind of professionally designed that you need to work on the content. So that's the first thing you have to do. So secondly, I want to approach the core products, right? And, you know, I'm a big fan of, everyone has an opinion, right? So what I'm going to speak is my opinion. However, I am quite confident in my opinion that I'll put money on it, and I don't think I'm wrong. I think you guys are in a very dangerous position. We spoke about it the last time, right? You say you want to build a marketplace. Dozens of people have tried this in this Nigerian and African context. And, you know, we're still a little bit struggling to even see a clear leader. I mean, OLX exited this market. The same guys you have here, Jumia, Konga, Gigi. I mean, Konga got sold for, what, pennies on the dollar against his valuation? Yeah, before it became, I think, there was a deal with Udala or one other company. Why haven't these guys worked, right? And now coming to your business overall. So let's break it down a little bit, right? And let me throw these three, you know, questions around it. Why are you doing what you're doing? What are you doing, and how are you going to it? There is no indication as to the why. There's no why. I mean, you say unsold inventory is why you are launching a marketplace. It's not a compelling reason at all. There's unsold inventory, so why don't you? Your marketplace is not focused on unsold inventory, right? There's a company called Overstocked in the US, and that's what they focus on, right? So whenever there's unsold inventory, you know, they'll buy it for, you know, maybe 10 cents on the dollar, sell it for 30 cents on the dollar, and you can't see the business model in there. So you spoke about that, but you didn't address that. You also said products are substandard. There's no indication of how your business is addressing these standards. I mean, you talk about give local industries access to raw materials. I will tell you, for a matter of fact, I believe you're familiar with a company called Vendees. I think they raised $30 million last year. I know people that buy from Vendees, right? This is with $30 million. There are quality issues. Their quality is because they raise money, they grow fast, right? You know, I know someone who buys hibiscus, that's Zobo leaves from them. I know someone else who buys some unbranded oil from them, and there have been complaints around quality. So for you to just say your competitive advantage is access to raw materials, how are you going to do that? Why are you able to do that? What do you know about raw materials? Do you understand the wide range of raw materials you deal with? How will you have the expertise to qualify quality for the different raw materials? Somebody making furniture is going to deal with, let's say, timber, Iroko wood, fabric, and foam. And someone making, you know, a juice drink is going to deal with pineapples, orange, and watermelon. How are you going to have the expertise to source all this quality? Understand some goods are going to be perishable, some are imported. Like, it's a whole, in fact, that's a whole business operation on its own. That's largely most of what Vendees does alone. And you are writing this as like a sub-line as to what you are going to do. So that's an issue. So I said, so the why doesn't really make sense. The what you are doing, your deck does not speak to what you are doing at all. Literally, your deck looks like, oh, someone thought, oh, I need to talk about a marketplace. And they put together a deck in like 1 hour, and then that's what you presented. There's no explanation of what you're actually doing. Your deck doesn't show any pictures of your launch page. You said you've launched your launch page is out. It should show some of that. There's none of that, right? The how you are going to do it, again, what you are doing is not very clear. So how you do it, I don't understand, right? So I'm not sure. I think that it's one of those things that sounds like a good idea, but you have to ask the question, why have all the attempts at marketplaces not been hugely successful? I mean, Gigi is still around. OLX left. Why? You know, and Gigi, again, there's the whole issue of fraud, which is a huge challenge. Gigi was fraught with fraud for a long time, right? You know, they spent a lot of money pumping against fraud. Why? Like, how are you going to be any different? So I really think like you need to go back to the core drawing board. Like and then why is your team the one to build this? What experience do you guys have with anything like this? Do you have any successes or failures you can refer to? There's none. I really also hated the fact that you're a team of 4. With social media and camera phones these days, there's somebody's picture that is not there. That's completely unexcusable. It's not at this level, right? And I'm sorry, I'm coming really hard, but I just want to give you guys, like, you know, we spoke about this on the last call. I want to give you the hard truth as much as I see it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. So you guys go back to the drawing board and actually work on something. Don't waste efforts and time and energy, right? There's your life today is gone. You can't get it back. You can learn from this if it's not something that will work, but you might as well try and build something that you are learning from that is also going to work. I really worry that you guys are going down a direction that you haven't really thought it out and you don't really understand what you're doing. And I worry about you wasting a lot of energy and efforts. And then the last thing I'll say, in my own personal opinion, the name Christas, I'm not sure where it is, what it's from, what it means, but I don't know. I struggle with the name just on a personal level. This logo on your website, I don't think it's in anywhere in your deck, which really lets me know you don't have a design person. Well, it seems like you don't have a design person on your team. So you need to be able to source that. Even if it's not internally, you can outsource it. So overall, honestly, I think you guys have a lot of work to do. If you can figure out something smaller that you can test, get some traction and some understanding of a marketplace, and then try and scale that before you look for, I think you asked for $500,000. You don't need to take that money. Figure out a smaller way to test and validate some of the thoughts and ideas you have and let the market tell you the answers. And then you build and take it from there. But honestly, guys, please, I really think you should go back to the drawing board and look at it again. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback, Owuna. Thank you also, Kate. So we'll move on to the third founder, John Uzo. John Uzo will be presenting and we'll be getting feedback from Faiz and Owuna. John Uzo, I will be getting feedback from Faiz and Owuna. Okay.
Okay.
So your time starts now.
Okay. My company, Shakambango, is developing schoolmates, school management software, enterprise resource planning system that will help schools manage their data and connect with their community. Over 90% of schools in Nigeria suffer from poor data management. There's so much data, so many activities, so many users to manage. Instead of managing all these manually or using several software, why not just use one? Not only should they manage every resource on one platform, but they should also be able to connect with their students, parents, alumni, and other benefactors, all from the same system. And that's why we're building an integrated ERP software system that has every tool a school needs to manage their business, be it a school of 10 students or of 10,000 students. School owners can allocate resources. The admin can manage records, students, teacher records. Teachers can deliver courses online like a learning management system. Students can pay their school fees and perform other activities. Alumni can stay connected to their alma mater. All these on one platform. The global ERP market is expected to be valued at $31 billion in 2030. Even though there are about 150,000 established schools in Nigeria alone, the undocumented informal schooling sector can easily double this figure. Our business model is simple. School pays a subscription fee to use our software as little as $12. That's 5,000 Naira. Additionally, we'll earn revenue from commission on transactions. We'll also earn revenue from sponsored ads, as well as offering the schools other IT-related services. Here is why we're different. we're not only offering a software, but a connected software that encourages community interactions, academic exchange, and work collaboration to truly make this an unbeatable offer. We will also promote alumni networking, which is a sleeping giant worth millions of dollars potentially. We'll be partnering with relevant associations in the market to get us high penetration and adoption rates so that we can dominate the market nationally. We launched our website last year, receiving $5,000 grant from Tony Elumelu Foundation. We are scheduled to launch our ERP with 5 schools this month and grow to 50 schools before the middle of the year. We are seeking $350,000 to help us launch an aggressive go-to-market strategy en route to dominating the industry in a very short space of time. We're currently soliciting expert advisors, some of who to join us to establish a formidable team. I believe being backed by Tony Elumelu Foundation and the FI Founders Institute will ensure that we have an edge over competition. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So we'll get feedback from Faiz and Una. Feedback from Faiz and Una.
Hello, John.
Hi, Faiz.
It seems you are very comfortable. Remember the first meeting I showed interest, you didn't really follow up. So you have all the, the funds and resources you need to drive this. Anyway, that's on the side. So yeah, I think I like what you are doing. I remember the first meeting, the focus that I can recall is more on the alumni and the users. Is it like providing resource where the users can learn and share and so on? So I believe the work you've been doing, maybe you've done a good work in terms of the customer feedback, and you've evolved it and added a lot of components about kind of ERP. I would say now you are looking at that aspect, and being in that field, for the past 12 years, I think really, many schools, I've seen many people interested in partnering with us and so on. When they try to do something else, they realize that schools will always want the core first before they do other things. Right, managing their fees, so to crack that, or one day, it's really a hard sell for anything. For example, what I mean, if you try to sell the alumni component, it's difficult to get any school that will be interested, except if, that will mean revenue to them. Will your software help alumni, donate to school, increasing, in funding and so on? Yeah, maybe they will pay attention to that, which means you just have to figure out how to get the alumni to be on the network and really, commit. So, but in essence, what I'm trying to say, there's still, I've been in this, but there's still market. It's a big market, and schools are still looking for simplicity. They have running a school is complex, but they are looking for simplicity, right? How can they do this thing very easy? Like, how can it, ease their own work? And I think it's you also got it right when you said that schools they prefer one solution, right? They don't want to subscribe to this that is doing one thing, subscribe to another application and so on. So, and that's what makes it hard, because it's more like, if you recall Salesforce, what made Salesforce successful is because they came to change the way, ERP softwares like SAP, Oracle, and so on. And they started, cloud-based solution and so on. So you have to be careful in that regards. If you talk, ERP sounds complex, and before you know it, your application will become too complex and user experience is poor. So adoption will be very, very difficult. So it's still good to really assess where is the demand really is and focus on making that as simple as possible. So, and also focus on the benefits also and what will work, because if you go through the route of just features, we've gone through that route as well. We built all kinds of features, but what's your strategy model on how to ensure that there's adoption, there's engagement? You have to track all these things. If you are interested in learning more, I have a very good strategy on how you can efficiently track these things. Then I don't know about your engineering strength. I see that you soon launch, with 5 schools. So do you have the MVP out, and what part are you starting with? Do you have these 5 schools that have they committed, or are you just anticipating? Right. You also mentioned you are seeking advisors and other partners. Like I mentioned earlier, you didn't really follow up on this, which I think there's a lot. I have a lot of experience. The market there is, like I said, but it's not as easy as you think. Right? School education sector, it can be boring and hard to sell. So what's your strategy to get these numbers and make sure you don't end up spending that 350,000? But all in all, I think I believe you know what you're doing, and there's opportunity ahead. Thank you.
Thank you for that feedback. So, Uno?
Okay. So thanks for that presentation. I feel like maybe a lot of my thoughts were covered there. So just a few points from me. Firstly, I definitely agree. I think that in building stuff like this, in my experience, I think that there can be a tendency to overfeature, which is definitely something that I see there. I think the last call we were on, I spoke about, like the Google approach versus the Yahoo approach. Yahoo launched a search engine. On the page there was news, there was blog, there was weather, there was mail, there was all that, right? And Google focused very, very singularly on building out their search products, right? Which is how that thing became a giant. And of course, everything else that Yahoo did at the start, Google eventually brought on board. But there was that core focus. If I were to use another example, and we go back to say like MP3 players, Apple was not the first MP3 player, right? There were, Sony had a bunch of products and a bunch of other brands had products. And one of the main differences, was that everyone else was advertising, at the time it was like 2 gig storage and 4 gig storage and all that. And Apple's approach was completely different, right? It was, I'd never forget the ad. It just said 1,000 songs in your pocket. We understand that. We know what that means. I want 1,000 of my songs with you. Now, it's not even exactly 1,000, but it's an estimation. And in the fine print, you can say that. But the market could relate and understand that, which really drove the adoption of it. So I do feel like there is something in these 2 stories that you can work on. What is the core part of your product, right? Which is serving one of the main needs that your target market wants, the schools, right? So I think you should spend some time doing that, understanding that deeply. And this understanding is going to come also with your marketplace. Like, unless you run a school, it is the schools that will explain to you where their biggest pain points are, and then build that up very strongly. And, with time, you can grow and add the features on. I do think there is something in having a a single piece of software or application that, runs the schools. But, you have to hit the main need on its head. I think that's really important. One other thing I think is segmentation, right? I think that, and I think I mentioned this on the last call as well, there is the school business model is kind of tricky. I think you really need to spend some time talking to school owners. Most school owners that I know and have spoken to, like, managing the finances of the school is a very difficult thing. Fees are paid late. They collect money once, and that money has to run for like 3-4 months, depending on how long the term is. So understanding the cash flow cycle and cash flow challenges of schools is going to be very key. Why I say that is that if we are now crossing off line items as a school from our budget, electronic document management is something that can, which in essence is a core part of what you're offering. It is something that can go easily when food, like for the kids, is also on that same list, or diesel for the generator, or school fees for the teacher. One big issue with schools, again, mentioned previously, was that, you collect money for feeding for 3 months, right? So when January term just started, fees were just paid. The money for food is to run you till April, when you go for Easter holidays. Inflation, literally the rice that you budgeted at 25K per bag in the middle of February is now 31K per bag. That's a problem that they deal with. So when they run through these kind of budgeting issues, stuff like this now, and there's an alternative to what you're selling, which is the paper system, which is what they've been doing, which doesn't cost much. So another thing that I think you may find is that you might get a lot of signups, but getting that recurrent payments can be challenging. So I think you need to work around that. I don't like the fact that you're billing in dollars. As a Nigerian company serving the Nigerian markets and you're giving me bills in dollars, I don't like that. I think I understand that you're paying your hosting and your server fees and all sorts in dollars, but you have to find a way to make that work for your markets, right? I want to pay in Naira. I don't want to pay in dollars. And then maybe finally, I low-key wish Chintan was speaking, was a mentor on this, but globally, there was an explosion of, education management software around the COVID pandemic period. And, in India alone, I think there were maybe 3 or 4 really big companies. They raised a lot of money, right? And they seem to be having a lot of traction. One of them has closed shop, and the other one, they returned the money that they raised. And essentially during COVID, it seemed like, oh, this was the future. But when things started to get back to normal, growth slowed down, user acquisition drops, adoption wasn't really kicked. So yeah, there's 2 huge companies. You can do some research. I don't know. I feel like Chintan probably knows about them. But if you check online, you can find and try and understand what happened and what those trends were to try and figure it out. But overall, to summarize, I feel that this solution seems like one of those things. It's a little bit similar to the marketplace solution. It seems like something that should be a no-brainer. Why are you using paper? Electronic is better, et cetera, et cetera. But many companies have tried in this space, especially in Nigeria. And I don't know anyone, maybe some are winning, right? But I know quite a number of them have struggled. You need to understand that anytime you're going into a marketplace where people have tried and not succeeded, you need to understand why they didn't work. And you need to be very clear on what you're doing differently that will work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Owuna. Thank you, Faiz and Owuna. Thank you a lot. We'll take the last founder, and then we'll get feedback from Chintan and Kate. Daniel Livingstone, you're up next, and we'll get feedback from Chintan and Kate. You have 5 minutes. Let's see your slide. John, you can bring down your slide. You can stop sharing. Okay, Daniel Livingstone, you're up next.
Okay,
then
sir.
Feedback from Chintan and Kate. Your time starts now.
Okay. Bubbly is a platform. Good day, gentlemen. My name is Daniel Livingstone. Bubbly is a platform that is leveraging artificial intelligence to enable the creation of text-based marketing materials and also to automate social media integration or automation for businesses. The most important job of any business is to sell, and selling depends on marketing. Marketing depends on good marketing, text-based marketing content that is high converting and persuasive. Usually, entrepreneurs experience difficulty creating this kind of content that are persuasive and market commanding. They end up spending a lot of time doing it, or they contract it out to third-party content developers. Copywriters, on the other hand, they spend about 6 to 10 hours creating a single marketing material for a business, and usually they cater to multiple businesses, and that is time consuming for them. This is where we come in. We are building a platform that essentially uses artificial intelligence to help entrepreneurs and copywriters to effectively create better marketing materials for their businesses with little time and little financial cost implication. In 2022, the generative artificial intelligence market was valued at $13 billion. It was estimated to be valued at $422 billion in 2030. And the serviceable available market in this industry for us is 1.3 million businesses in both US and Canada, but the total available market is 333 million. We are building a platform that enables businesses to quickly create just about any type of content for their marketing content for their marketing purposes using our template. We've leveraged the use of different types of templates to facilitate the creation of these multiple kinds of marketing materials. For example, you can see this is just a sample by just entering the name of the company, what the company does, the product the company is trying to sell, and the tone of voice, which is persuasive. Schoolmates, for example, can have this set of text-based marketing content that follows their attention, interest, desire, and action format of marketing, which they could use for maybe their Facebook advertisement or for their Instagram or social media adverts. With 3 simple steps, you can create most of your marketing materials on our platform. We've made it that simple to use. In October, November, December, we acquired our license, we deployed our landing page, and then we started out with our product design. In January, we want to finalize our design, and then from February, we want to begin the phase 1 of the artificial intelligence writing assistant and to also build partnerships. We operate a subscription model. We charge between $20 and $14 for our 2 famous plans, which is Classic and Business. We are looking forward to a customer acquisition of 3,000 Classic customers and 2,000 business customers that will bring us to $1.6 million in the next 12 months. Our unique selling point is our social media co-pilot, which will essentially reduce the burden of social media management from early stage entrepreneurs and business owners by automating social media creation of marketing materials for social media platforms with little interaction from the business owner. So this all happens automatically. You don't need to go to the platform to type in anything. Just setting the days and times you want the system to post for you on social media, and it will create this content. You have to approve them, and then they go live. Apart from the fact that we are an artificial intelligence writing assistant, we are essentially one of the only companies that is trying to sell a true social media co-pilot that will assist copywriters and entrepreneurs with social media management. Our go-to-market plan is to aggressively tackle copywriters, entrepreneurs, and business partnerships. We intend to acquire 3,000 copywriters in the next 12 months, 2,000 copywriters also, and to partner with 60+ marketing agencies. And that will essentially bring us to our business goal of $1.6 million in 12 months of doing business. This is a team. I'm the CEO with Austin. We have about a decade of software engineering experience. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn. We are raising $300,000. We intend to use this money to facilitate hiring more human services that will help us to deliver this solution. We plan to use money also for customer acquisition, server and infrastructure, and we know that in the effective usage of this money, we'll be able to close 5,000+ business customers, and this will bring us to our financial goal of $1.6 million in the next 12 months. You can reach out to us via any of these platforms, and thank you very much.
Your time is up. Thank you for that. So we'll get feedback from Daniel, from Chintan and Kate. Feedback for Daniel from Chintan and Kate.
Okay, is Chintan here?
Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
Okay, please, you can go first since I went first the first time.
All right, fine. So, Daniel, indeed impressive, because the reason I would say I gave you bad rating in mental progress review because you're reading the pitch. We had office hour and had a detailed discussion day before yesterday. Was it day before yesterday or Monday? I'm not sure. So you were quick enough to realize that there is a chance for improvement and then book office hour and then we had a deep dive. Most of the suggestions which have been suggested have been incorporated. Your go-to-market strategy seems much refined, which has got clear-cut targets. Yes, it is a bit ambitious, but then you need to aim high. There were certain changes which I suggested. Minor suggestions also have been incorporated. Like in the competition matrix, you had changed the last column. So that is good as far as the ask is concerned. Yes, there is a change. And definitely you have improved a lot. So I'm happy about that. One thing is, if you can just tell me about the roadmap, what is not the roadmap launch plan? Take me to the relevant slide. Yeah, so this is also you have actually updated because initially you had only October, November, and December. What's happening in January and February wasn't visible. So you have done a right update, and then that makes us confident that you are getting into certain direction. However, please try to update this slide with when is it the time when you are expecting a beta. So there is a lot of white space towards the bottom of the slide, wherein you can mention that we aim to get into beta by, let's say, April 2023, whatever is the timeline. Try to refine and then mention it so that the user or a prospective investor now will have an eye on this in case if he wish to invest into your platform as a seed stage investor. So that's it from my side. Good on time, content and delivery. You have not read any slide, so that is also a good thing. And yeah, looking forward to build upon this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chintan. So we'll take feedback from Kate.
Yes, I would say well done. As soon as you talked about the problem that you're going to solve, I felt it because it's a problem that I know, and many entrepreneurs as an entrepreneur, my business currently faces that problem. So I can identify with the problem. So in terms of you gave an overview of the 16 billion annually, right? And you say it is time consuming. Can I see your solution? Your unique selling proposition is that it's you're using AI, and the benefit to me as a customer is that it will save us time. It will save costs of marketing. But I would want to know, in terms of what you're doing, maybe an indication of how, in terms of, okay, this could potentially save you, you said they spend up to 10 hours or so, but this could potentially save you a range of time. You could do this within, you said in 3 quick steps, but relate it to that USP that you're talking about. If it is time, then you must show how efficient your product is time-wise. And of course, if it is finance now, what's the going rate? How much do content marketers or content managers charge now? How is that, what's the going rate now on maybe Upskill, Upwork, or whatever, all those places where you get them. Or if I were to hire somebody now, how many people would I require to do that? You know, just scenario type of, you see in presentation, oftentimes I see as tech people, we're focused on the features, the hard things, but essentially the decision making. Yes, people will apply logic, but there's an element of emotion in it, you know, a sense of appeal, right? So somewhere between when you got me at the beginning with the problem, I sort of like, okay, started to slow down, develop cold feet, because in understanding the benefits, okay? To be honest, research shows that features don't sell as much as benefits, okay? And your selling point for this, your go-to-market strategy, is the benefits. And who are the people also you're targeting, your market, you're targeting? Who are the people? The big companies can afford to hire people like that because, you know, there's a certain quality and all that. They can afford to do that. But in our context, in African context, over 90% of businesses are SMEs, right? So you must be able to speak their language. People will only respond to you if you communicate with them in the language of their emotions. That pain point, that time, okay, is what on every slide, if I were presenting on almost every slide, that unique selling position would reflect one way or another, you know. So that is for me. But other than that, I think it's a good presentation. It's a good product. Okay, as a business owner, it's something that I would be keen to invest in. So when you are ready to go to the market, please contact me. I'll be one of your early customers and see how go with that. You can use us to test. Okay, so yes, I think, and then let's see the pictures of your team members. So Uncle, who is that in the mirror behind you? You get my point, right? So it's, you know, a little bit of, and you know, I don't know whether those are your corporate colors or something, but you're reaching out to a wide range of, you know, wide audience. If you were attracting a corporate entity like this, the colors, you know, monotone or plain colors, it's okay. But you're also trying to attract people that are in the fashion industry, people that are in entertainment, people that are in, so you need, you know, your choice of colors and your slides and all that should be something more, you know, elegant, you know, a little more color, you know, so that it can appeal to that wide range audience or market that you're targeting. So yes, and then of course the pictures, you know, there should be some kind of uniformity. There's one black and white one, and I'm looking at you now and I'm looking at a younger version of you there. It was like the selfie that you took, you know. So I mean, there should be think about the best way to communicate this value that you're proposing, you know. Okay, I think that's about that for me, but yes.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you, founders. I'm sure we've learned a lot from the feedbacks to others. If you did not present, you probably learned something from the feedback to others. We'll move on to the next section, which is mentors presentation. I'll be having presentations from the 4 mentors. We'll start off with Chintan, Faiz, Kate, and Ouno. In that order, there are no changes. I'll repeat: Chintan, Faiz, Kate, and Ouno. If we could keep our presentation to 10 minutes each, I would love that. So we can start now. Chintan. Okay.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible, and if you can just show me a thumbs up if you are able to hear me clearly, that would help me register that yes, I'm adequately audible. Else I'll hold my mic here. I'm sorry, I have 101 fever today. I did not want to miss the commitment, so that is how I turned up. Sorry, not in the right energy levels right now, but let us get going. So this is me. Let us skip. I have been adequately introduced. So this is going to be the agenda for the day. We will start with discussing who should be part of your team. We are at the pre-seed stage and we are accelerating. How would you determine if you need a co-founder? What are the ways? What are the indications that would help you gauge the need of a co-founder? How would you decide whether to outsource or insource and what to outsource? How do you source top hiring candidates that you already know? What are the various channels to hire talent? What is the effective hiring process for a new business? What materials do you need for hiring process? To design an efficient hiring process is essential. One of the job entrepreneurs do is create replicable processes which can be well orchestrated by their team in their absence, in entrepreneur's absence. So these are the kind of points we would be discussing. We would also discuss how would you onboard candidates and what time should you spend on hiring. Many a times I get a question from entrepreneurs. The recruiting process is too consuming and I don't know how much time I should invest. So we would also have a discussion about what time you should invest. So can you tell me what are these? What are these pictures? Please unmute yourself and share your feedback.
These are famous sites in different countries.
These are the sites. Go ahead.
You're muted, Chinta.
Yeah. Go ahead. So, what else? What was the second answer someone mentioned?
Oh yeah, I said seven wonders of the world, but then I haven't been up to date recently, so I'm not too sure if that's the case.
Yeah, Abu Bakr. Yes, these are seven wonders of the world. These wonders have been standing tall since years together. Look at the precision, look at the accuracy, look at the geometry with which these wonders have been made. Indeed, this conveys there is a teamwork. These were not, they did not pop up from anywhere, correct? These are the results of orchestrated teamwork. So teamwork and orchestration was important in those days, ancient times as well. Now let us come to our topic. Who should be part of your core team? At this time, you would be doubling up multiple roles. I strongly recommend you should play role of a product manager because the vision is owned by you. No one else in the team understands that vision as much as you do. Try to double up with the role on CEO, COO, or if you are a technical co-founder, go ahead and then play a double role for CTO and head of engineering. Try to have someone for customer service. It is essential because while you are starting to onboard new customers, it is essential to develop a after sales experience. So please make sure that you have these role in your team. People who are available can also wear multiple hats and take over these roles, but these role profiles are recommended for your startup and the stage right now. There are a couple of things you can outsource. You don't need content writers and digital marketing people on full-time basis. You do not need recruiters and payroll specialists. You can outsource payroll processing of your team to some company and get things done at a very cheaper rate. If you are not a web company, you don't need web developers, designers, programmers on full-time role basis. You can have a panel of freelancers working with you from different locations. At this point of time, you do not have luxury of administrative assistants. If you need certain tasks to be automated, go and invest into automation. You may need a market research if you want to expand beyond your home market. Let us say if you would like to expand into Gulf market or you would like to enter UK market, then try to identify a freelancer from that market and conduct a market research. You don't need a market research person on your roles right now. This can be an outcome-based assignment as well. How would you determine if you need a co-founder? What are the indications? When you are a solo founder and you feel overburdened, you feel the need of a co-founder who would come and complement skills in weak areas. You may be a good sales guy, but you are not expert in finance or technology. Try to get someone who can complement your skills. A co-founder also shares burden, be it moral support, technical or technology vision, managing the risk of scaling up the startup, bringing in finance, or investing time. So this is where a co-founder is recommended. Investors like teams who have co-founders. Co-founders brings connects, be it from customers, investors, resources, or vendors. Co-founders also help brainstorm. They share a long-term vision and help align and endorse the direction by using their experience. When you are a solo founder, at times it helps to apply another set of eyes and mind on the same vision or problem statement you are working on. You may get new insights which you may have not thought earlier. A co-founder also helps multiply efforts at a team level. He works as a team member and doubles up as a leader alongside. He also helps you win investors, customers, and stakeholder support. Beyond a point, a co-founder starts independently handling as assigned domains like finance or technology or sales or marketing or business development. However, please consider these 6 points before you onboard a co-founder. First point, can I put my faith in my co-founder to grow the company? Let us assume hypothetically, God forbid, nothing happens to you. But if you met with accident and you have a fracture, you are out of action for 3 weeks. Can you trust that co-founder to run the company with the same passion and zeal as you are running right now? Do I consider my co-founder as a long-term partner in active role? Will he be active as much as I am? will he be equally passionate and committed? How long have I known my co-founder to consider him as a co-founder? You don't, this is not speed dating. You don't meet a co-founder at a conference and then share what you are building, and he gets excited and he says, yeah, I want to join you, Daniel, Abu Bakr, and then they say, oh yeah, let's get on, and then they go to the office next day and become co-founders. It doesn't help that way. Does he know culture of the team? Every team has got certain culture, certain environment, challenges, and the market we operate in. How will the co-founder add value to your startup, to your venture? Are you able to clearly divide the roles and responsibilities to cover all essential parts of business? No point of having a tech co-founder when you are already a tech co-founder. Then who is going to sell the product? Who is going to manage the finance? Between you and the co-founder, try to cover all various functions like product marketing, pricing, business modeling, fundraise, etc. You should know what are the overlapping and non-overlapping domains with you and other team members, including co-founders. Finally, and most critically, please have a founders agreement in place, which has got detailed elaboration about roles, duties, and departure provisions. In other terms, it is also written as exit clause in these agreements, so that if a co-founder is not performing and he has 30% of the equity, you should not get stuck on account of non-performance and exit clause. You should be able to get rid of the non-performing unwanted person in the team. So please make sure you have adequate documentation and legality in place. How would you decide what to outsource? When you want stability, commitment, and you want to build assets, please keep these tasks insourced. If there are certain repeat processes, if you want to extend your reach by outsourcing certain non-productive activities and utilizing your manpower in productive activities, do that. If you want to outsource certain activities via contract, go ahead and do that. As and when you need some on-demand engagement, if you have certain short-term projects, or you want to hire someone from other country altogether, go ahead and hire a freelancer. How would you source top candidates? So these are the 7 channels through which you can source a potential team member. You can get reference from employees, customer, investor, mentors, vendors, academia. You can just walk into a university and meet the head of placement cell and then explore if your requirement and their availability of talent helps you get a solution. There are multiple industry specific, function specific WhatsApp groups or professional communities on Facebook available. Like there are WhatsApp group for Python programmers, there are WhatsApp group of sales people, there are WhatsApp group of Salesforce professionals. You should leverage them to your advantage. You can be part of various professional network like LinkedIn. You can check out various job boards, use competitive intelligence, understand how your competition is hiring their manpower, which are the employers their employees have worked before. Learn from them and then try to get to their source and then see if you get the right talent from those sources. You can attend various industry events, hackathon or ideathon to spot the right talent. Refresh your connect with alumni networks and then you would get certain leads about hiring talents. Apart from this, when you want to hire a freelancer, try to look at freelancing sites like Upwork, Fiverr, etc. How do you have an effective hiring process for your startup? Start with identifying the hiring needs. Why do you need a human? Unless you have 40 hours of job to manage, do not hire a human. If you do not have a budget to pay regular salaries, do not hire a human. Part of if you want to get certain jobs automated, explore if automation can be an option instead of hiring a human. If you try to use automation instead of giving $3,000 a salary, certain tasks can be managed in just $100 a month kind of investment. Once you decide that yes, you need to hire a human, try to design a recruitment communication, a formal advertisement which can be put on various hiring sites or LinkedIn to recruit the manpower and build curiosity amongst the prospective candidate. Publish the requirement, shortlist and interview candidates, and make offer to the right candidate. Subsequently, have orientation and onboarding. Now, these two are bit confusing terms. At times, people use it interchangeably. But let me tell you, these are not the interchangeable terms. While you go for hiring, what are the materials you should have by your side on your desk? Manpower requisition form. At times, it's not you, but someone else has initiated the manpower requirement. So you should have a manpower requisition form to refer to why we are hiring this person. What is the exact requirement? What is the exact background or context to hire this person on certain role? Have a job description by your side. There has to be a defined job description for each of the person you hire. What are the expectations from that person has to be standardized. Have a recruitment tracker for your efficient management of interview process. How many people have applied? How many people have been interviewed? How many people are getting into second round? How many people have been given the offer letter? How many people have accepted the offer letter? And at the end, how many people are likely to join into which time frame? Have tried to define an employee handbook which would serve as a reference material to all your team members. Define a salary structure, and in case if any candidate asks you to explain salary structure, you should be able to clearly articulate and explain. We were very shy candidates in our young age. We never asked salary related questions. But candidates in current times do not hesitate to ask these questions. Also, try to have an offer letter by your side. In case if you find the candidate right, you should be able to show him the offer letter and use that offer letter to negotiate terms and conditions in your favor. How would you onboard candidates? There you can assign multiple checklists to various functions like creation of email ID, reserving the desk, reserving the laptop bag, etc. You can also give various reminders to the candidate to submit soft copies of all his certificates, health reports, etc. There would be various forms which you would be getting it filled while the person joins you on full-time basis. Certain forms are part of your regulatory requirements. Keep everything ready and keep this as a kit. Also, keep all stakeholders informed. If someone is joining in the engineering team, head of engineering and CTO must be aware that who is joining at what role and when are they joining in, so that they can be ready to onboard them suitably. You can also have welcome kits designed. These days, candidates get excited when you provide them certain merchandise, be it a water bottle, a t-shirt, or a logo to be stuck on laptop. You can also prepare various documentation, policies, easy email templates for his reference, and provide various contact details on day zero. There are multiple startups who are using e-signature. It would be a good idea to gift this e-sign to the new employee on the day of joining. I mentioned earlier, orientation and onboarding is often used interchangeably, but it is not the right scenario. Let me give you difference between onboarding and orientation. As and when we go for orientation, it is applicable for all hires. It is aimed to share vision and mission of the company, while onboarding is applicable only to that specific function, be it finance, technology, sales, or even admin. And it helps the candidate to deep dive on the various roles of that function. Orientation duration can be 1 day to 1 week, while duration of the onboarding can be 2 weeks to a quarter. Orientation is usually delivered in a classroom environment, in a hotel, in a conference room, and it has got people from multiple functions joining on the same day, wherein onboarding is delivered on the job. Like a programmer is onboarded in the technology function, he starts working with various team leads and then starts understanding the architecture of the platform or product you are delivering. Orientation covers various document submission, legal forms, and team building exercise. While onboarding covers one-on-one meetings with various functional leaders like Vice President of Technology, Vice President of Design, Vice President of Customer Experience, or architecture, cloud architecture, etc. It provides them the technical overview of the function and within that larger function, what specific role that person would play and deep dive of that role. At times, onboarding ends with introduction of that employee to the customer. Please make sure that you pay due attention to onboarding yourself because the cost of poor onboarding is high. It impacts the quality of output. It lowers the productivity. It lowers the team morale. As a result, customers are dissatisfied, investors are unhappy, and your brand gets impacted. So here comes the last point. What time should you spend on hiring? The time you invest into hiring has to be equally proportionate to following points. Seniority of the role. Higher the role, higher the responsibility, more time you should spend on these roles. If it is a customer facing role, please spend more time. Try to understand the psyche of the person when they get irritated, how they are handling the customer. What is the value of business they are going to handle? If it is the low value business, you need not worry. But if they are going to manage a certain verticals like BFSI practice, like education vertical, then try to spend more time. What is the availability of skill? At time, getting such skill like a person who is well versed in, let's say, Kegel is difficult to hire. Then try to spend more time and then be attentive in hiring those time. Have an eye on what is the average hiring time you are having. Consider lost productivity and cost of recruitment, because at times you would be paying certain commission to various onboarding agencies. So this is it for me. Thank you so much. Let's meet in office hours. I'm sharing my LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to assist. Thank you so much. And now we can get into Q&A.
Thank you, Shintan. We'll take the other presentations and then we'll get into Q&A. Faiz had to rush, do some prayers, but Kate. Okay, let's do Kate, then we'll do Faiz, and then Una. I hope that's cool. Okay, Kate, you're up next.
All right, thank you very much. I was going to do a presentation, but I thought that my office put together a few points. But Chintan has done a fantastic job. He has pretty much covered everything that I was going to talk about. Just a few things to highlight. But before then, I think it's important to check with everyone and see where you're at in your hiring. Okay. In the chat box, just real quickly for the founders, okay? Tell me, how many of us have hired people already? John Uzo, okay, so if you've hired, tell me what positions you hired. Okay, so just say, CTO or finance, or let's see where it aligns with Chintan's presentation.
I suppose that's for all founders, right? Kate,
yes, for all founders, yes.
So it's not just John, all founders, please indicate what you've done in terms of hiring. I've seen John Uzo, HR and software development.
And software development, okay. Can I encourage all founders to turn on their videos? Let me see let's make this interactive. There's really no, Chintan has already laid the foundation. It's not rocket science. It's just understanding these principles. If you follow the principles that he has laid down. So John, you've responded first. Do you want to unmute and tell me why you chose to hire HR and software development at this point?
Yes, so the HR personnel was also going to double as an admin personnel. We thought, even though we thought the HR personnel and admin will manage everything, will be like probably like a sub CEO. Someone would just act in my capacity, but for the office while I'm doing the more important things. That was why the HR thing, we hired that person. It ended out terrible though.
Okay, sorry to cut you short, because there are certain words you use that have just confused me. Okay, because you said the HR team will handle HR thing, the HR person, while you go do the other more important things. What are those more important things?
Things like policies for the company, building the product, speaking with other businesses and so on, being the face of the company.
So that's sales, Abi? Speaking with other businesses, sales.
Yes.
Policies. Okay. All right, fantastic. But HR was doing admin as well.
Yes.
And you would do policies, which is a HR function.
So
okay, so are we starting to see where the problem is, right? So, it's important that you clearly define roles, including yours, okay? Especially when you are a tech person. How many of us are the tech people, are the ones building the software app? We are the tech people in your companies. You're the actual tech person. I'm not a tech person. If I were to, I can have the idea, okay, Oluwadara, who else is the tech person? Okay, who else is the tech person? So Emeka, you're the tech person as well, right? Just give me a thumbs up or just indicate, let me see. Fantastic. So when you are the tech person, your superpower, right, is technology. Your own is to build the code, build the app, and do all those things. So in answer to where you need a co-founder, okay, to determine where you need a co-founder, you need to identify what your superpower is, and then look for where you are not really, everybody as a CEO or as a founder, you should have done a personal SWOT analysis. Do we all know what a SWOT analysis is? I'm sure you, by this time you would have known, right? So you know what your strengths are, you know what your weaknesses are, and so your CTO or your co-founder or founders, as the case may be, should be people that would be able to transform, should be able to cover up for where your areas of weaknesses. That being said, it is important that you as the visionary, you must have a handle on every aspect of the business. You're just starting, so it's too early for you to say, okay, leaving out. Before you outsource, you must know what exactly you are outsourcing for. You must be clear on the job role, so you know that if it is your core function, if it's the core area of your business, you cannot afford to outsource. Personally, I think that if you're doing a business where you require engineers, for instance, if you are in the engineering space, the oil and gas industry or agric engineering or some of the sector that you're in, you need subject matter experts in that area. So such subjects, again, you need to determine what level they will come in, where they offer their specialized advice. For instance, the e-commerce person that is access to raw materials and all that, you have positioned yourself in the entire value chain of every industry that you're targeting. So my take is pick a particular industry and look at what you will need. If you take a case study, let's say you look at agriculture, for instance, and you're running an tech base, you're trying to meet, you're looking at the market, you're looking at producers and all those things. So when you're looking at that, when you're hiring, it will help you, by the time you put all those things in perspective, it will help you determine, where do I want to place who? So those are fundamental principles. Now, when you're hiring human beings, working with human beings, dealing with human beings, it's you need to know that in that, the role that you play primarily is leadership. Okay, you must be able to provide the vision and the leadership for those people. Now, when you're hiring, there are soft things that you look at as well. Now, I'm just glossing over everything, and I'm hoping that I'll just pick out on some of all those things, building on what Chintan has already said. Okay, so when you're hiring people, from the experience that I have dealing with people, if you are not clear on what you want them to do, so that if they're doing any extra or if they know when they're learning and all that, you must be able to manage expectations. You must know how to deal with people. If not, you have a high attrition rate. And if your core functions, you have permanent people, and they leave a gap, it becomes a problem. We've had that problem in our business, and you must have a plan. For every position that you have, you must have a backup plan. You know, you have the key position plan A, you must have B. So you must have somebody in waiting, and you must be training somebody to shadow. So that being said, just so that your overheads don't run too high and you're hiring, because what a lot of startups do, they come with a bang, you know, offer exorbitant salaries, offer, you know, and people come on board, and you see that after a while they tend to fizzle out. So you must be realistic in your hiring. Don't overpromise, you know, don't be too ambitious in your hiring. Be realistic. Look out for the soft skills. A lot of young people these days, this Gen Z, they're not very loyal. You know, so you must be able to look at, you know, the things that will work for the industry, so that you keep your costs down. Because I know as a company, there was a time that we had a good turnover, but by the time we looked at it, 80% of our revenues, we made money, but over 80% of our revenues went back into overheads, paying staff salaries, space, and all those things. So as a founder, you have to be wise in looking at where, you know, the cost drivers. Everybody that you bring on board must have a clear value proposition, which you understand, which you can measure and quantify. If you're not clear on all those things, don't be in a hurry to hire. A lot depends on you, okay? You can hire a recruitment firm and say, I need this position. You can get them to, you know, recruit for you and all those things. But you see, if you hire a team and they don't buy into the vision, especially since it's a startup, first of all, before people believe in your dream, they have to believe in you. And so you're looking out for some of these subtle things as you're hiring people, as you're bringing people on board. I would like to know the experience you had with your HR person, John, Shaq, and Bango. I would like to know the experience, and maybe during office hours, we can talk and compare notes. But I'm just speaking to you from the heart, from experience. You know, I've had people that, you know, you hire them, they come with, you know, so much prospect. At what point do you know when the person is delivering? You must have your timelines. So you do your homework well before you bring people in, okay? Every other thing that Chintan has said in terms of the principles of hiring, knowing what roles you need to hire, how to determine, you know, knowing if you need a co-founder, and all those things. What I would, you know, if you have access to the slides also, go back and adopt that, his template, and identify, sit down and work out for your own self what will work for your business or what you want to achieve. Because don't forget, you're launching, you have a product, you have to run a business. Okay, so you have to deal with all those things. And in terms of policies and other things, there are HR companies that have templates where you can get resources easily. Leverage, get what you can get easily so that you don't burn out, you don't stress yourself. Okay, other details we can talk in office hours, but I just wanted to share with all of you a few things. I hope you've gained value from that. Chintan has done an amazing job. There's not much to add. Maybe during the Q&A session and all that, if you have specific questions, you can put them in the chat box, or during the Q&A session, we can deal with that. And hopefully we can talk some more during office hours. Yeah, I think that's just what I have to add to what he has said. Yes.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I also have a presentation with something that my office put together, but it's pretty much the same thing with what Chintan has said. I can share with you. I thought, you know, just something as a guide that a reference document that you can use when you're deciding, you know, when you're considering positions for hire.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, Faiz, you're next. Founders, if you have questions, note those questions down, and possibly if you want to throw them in the chat box. Apologies, my video isn't working. I have a problem with my camera. That's why my video isn't on right now. Okay, so Faiz, are you ready for us?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, your screen is clear. Yeah.
Okay, thank you once again. So I go through, you know, some tips and ideas on hiring and onboarding. A lot has already been said, so I might probably repeat, you know, some of that. So to get started, the founder of Workforce Group, you know, HR consulting, also has a HR consulting firm, Bolaji Gunju, the author of Hiring Right. You know, he said, I completely disagree with and unequivocally reject the notion that people are the greatest asset an organization can possess. As a matter of fact, nothing can be further from the truth. A more realistic view is this: people can potentially be the biggest liability an organization can have. So how many of us agree with him? You can post on the chat box. So these are some examples of bad hires. You know, Zappos lost £76 million due to bad hires. In essence, I think these examples are corroborating with, you know, the quote we just read. Are people the best asset, or can they even be, you know, the worst liability of a company? So there's a point around that. I hope we are all connecting the dot, or we are understanding, you know, what that emphasis is all about. Another example, Barings. Nick Leeson single-handedly caused the collapse of Barings, the UK's oldest merchant bank, in 1995. Through fraudulent, unauthorized, and speculative trading activities, he managed to lose the bank £825 million, about £1 billion, after which the once thriving company was sold to a rival for a nominal price of £1. I think this is a very good example of, you know, bad hire turning into this is bigger than liability, you know, bankrupting the whole business. Uber lost over 20 million and its reputation to employees' bad conduct. If you followed Uber, you know, a few years back, the controversies and so on, they were able to come out of it, but, you know, definitely it cost them money and reputation as well. So I think the whole emphasis is hiring is very, very important, but you have to hire the right person. It's not really about just hiring, you know, growing the numbers, or hiring consultants to bring on people to you, especially at the early stage. It's very critical. How do you get, you know, a square peg for the square hole? It's really critical. If you don't hire right, that is, you know, a sure guarantee of the failure of a business. Everyone loses: the customers, the manager that, you know, that supervises the hire colleagues, because a wrong hire will come and bring down productivity, create unnecessary issues in the team, and so on. So many things, even the wrong hire himself, it can stall his own growth, he's unproductive and so on, because he's not a fit other people in the organization and the organization itself. So there's like debate about what's the greatest hiring decision of all time. Because of time, we could have made this interactive. But some people argue that hiring Steve Jobs, rehiring him as the CEO, in 1997 is the best hiring decision. Apple was worth $3 billion in 1997. Business was not good. Things are really slowing down and so on. By the time Steve Jobs came back and changed things around, the rest is history. As of 2020, Apple was the first company to reach 1 trillion market capitalization. As they have surpassed 2 trillion, I think maybe recently due to the economic challenges, they have come down a bit. But that's a very good example of a good hire. So the emphasis, I think in all this is that hiring is very critical to an organization, and definitely the right hires are the biggest asset of an organization. Whatever we do in business is people that do it. Especially in the knowledge economy we are in now, things are no longer different. It's not about, the menial job laborers do and so on. Things are automated, robotics, AI. So there's a lot that has to do with knowledge now. And you can't you have to get the right people for any business to succeed. So this is the book I was referring to. I think it's a very good book, and he broke it down into 10 sections on what you need to do to hire right. There's another very good book about hiring and HR in general, or people's operations, by Laszlo Bock, the former VP of People Operations at Google. Calls it Work Rules, Insights from Inside Google. So I'll just give you some perspective, from SEXA, what we do and what we pay attention to when it comes to hiring and onboarding. So our own goal, objective in hiring is attracting and retaining, smart creative. And a smart creative, I think it's Eric Schmidt, the former CEO of Google. They are the ones that came up with this and defined who a smart creative is, how Google, also the kind of people Google hire and what do they pay attention to when they hire. Smart creative is multidimensional, usually combining technical, in-depth with business savvy, and creative flair. He has deep technical knowledge in how to use the tools of his trade and plenty of hands-on experience. He's analytically smart, especially for most of us that are in tech now, right? Even non-tech, technology is very key and data is very important. So they should be highly comfortable with data and can use it to make decisions. Is business smart? For me, really one of the, I would say things that you struggle with if you have a bad hire is people that don't see things from business angles. They are all about, I have a task, let me just quickly do this task. They don't care. Is it really meeting the objective? Have things changed? Do I need to use my IQ or initiative see that, oh, doing this task is not really a priority now. I have to align, with my team or supervisor. I think things have changed. They just do things like robot. That is really annoying, honestly. So you need to pay attention. Do they really have some kind of business sense in whatever they do? That is really key. It's competitive smart. It's not about 9 to 5. He is really passionate, and he wants to innovate. He challenges himself, all the time. Is user smart. If you are building product, especially for users, right, engineers specifically, you need to always, the user always matters. It's not about, the elegant designs you do or the complex code you write. How is it really helping the user? Is it making any sense or simplifying the user's life? There are fires of new ideas. They are always thinking, how can I simplify this problem? How can I improve efficiency? How can we improve productivity, and so on? Always thinking of ideas, not just being in their comfort zone and not wanting to change. Curious, smart, is risky, creative, self-directed, open, creative, thorough, and so on. But honestly, the reality is it's difficult to get someone that will combine all of this, right? Myself included. I know I can't say I have all this, to perfection. But the ones that you should ensure that they possess should include business savviness, like I said, because if you don't get people that connect to the why, the vision, you keep struggling. You see things that this is straightforward. Why can't you understand our priorities? They don't see it from that angle. Maybe they are just 9 to 5 people, just tick boxes of tasks, and that's all. Technical knowledge, whatever role they are doing, do they understand it? Can they technically contribute? Otherwise, no matter how passionate you are, if you don't have that technical capability, it's also going to be a problem. Creative energy, they have to be highly energetic and creative, and hands-on approach to getting things done. Just like we keep emphasizing customer development, product marketing, you have to go out, talk to people, do these things and test, experiment, not always maybe theory and so on. So they should be hands-on, willing to try things, get things done, validate and so on. Otherwise, you would end up people that are too much focused on output. They tick boxes, and the outcome is nothing is achieved. So there's a scorecard you can always, first of all, but for startups, this might not really apply, but as you grow, it's always good to keep assessing, where you are at your hiring. Are you really hiring right? Or are you adding liability, to your company? So there's this checklist where you rate yourself between 1 to 5, and you always know where you are, and so on. I'll share this, for reference, but because of time, we can't necessarily go through all of this thing. So why is wrong hiring prevalent? There are a lot of, statistics that show that many hires, go wrong. 74%, managers admit that about 74% of hires they make are wrong hires. This is from Harris poll in 2017, where they surveyed some hiring managers and HR professionals, and £132,000 in waste, for hiring for a wrongly hired line manager with a salary of £42,000 approximately. So the reasons for wrong hires: number one, failure to understand and align with organizational context. Context is very key. At every point in time when you want to hire, you have to analyze what is the gap, what are your priorities. You need to bring someone that will close these gaps, really add value, make impact, and not just hiring because you found some org structure somewhere online. You need to hire VP of sales, you need to hire DevOps engineer, this and that. Is that what you need? What's the organizational context? The absence of clearly defined and documented hiring process. Because hiring is very important. You need to have a clearly defined and documented process. Well, as you grow, especially, it becomes bigger. You have every unit prioritizing their hires. If you don't have a process that aligns with your core values, you all make sure you tick all these boxes and so on, then you are bound to have wrong hires. Failure to develop and use success profiles. This is also about, square pegs and square holes. Success profiles mean what are the characteristics for someone to succeed in a specific role you want to hire them. You list out those things, especially if you have someone that succeeded before in that role. You identify what are the things that made them succeed. If you are hiring, you look out for those things. And train interviewers or recruiters. As you grow, you can't leave hiring just to HR, honestly. HR is just to facilitate the process. As imagine you want to hire a software engineer, right? It's typical HR will not be able to fully evaluate them. So hiring process, there are different levels and stages and so on. So if you don't train your managers that are supposed to be hiring in the future, you are bound to hire wrongly. Then hiring biases, we are all human beings. If we don't pay attention, there are different biases that can lead us to hire wrongly. Relying on interviews only and not using a variety of assessment methodologies. Interviews alone are not sufficient. Some people are really good in packaging. You see the best of CVs. Maybe they are fortunate to be able to communicate, eloquently and so on. Really don't, these are some of the biases, first impression bias, the way they confidently talk. Pay attention. Yeah, it can be much more than that. Lack of clear accountability, poor allocation of resources. Sometimes we want to save cost and we don't invest a lot in hiring. So we end up hiring wrongly and spend more on training. That will not necessarily give us the results. Failing to deal with the issues raised by the talent shortage. This is a clear example. In FlexiServe or tech generally, especially in Nigeria or around this world, we are facing that challenge. Globally, talent is short, especially for knowledge-based roles. Now with the popularly JAPA issue that is happening, we are facing these things. And just last 2 weeks or so, when we were doing some management review and so on, and we realized that, wow, we have enough engineers. Now we are trying to see where do we even place some of them. Few months ago, it was a big headache for us. We were not getting them. You get people, you interview them, they are not even as good as your existing engineers, and they are even negotiating in dollars. So we had to do something differently. We had to realize that there's a talent shortage. How do we, fill in our talent pool? And as like I mentioned, really, so far we've been able to address that. And then Murphy's Law, anything can go wrong no matter how much you prepare. So it's good to pay attention to that. So don't use a generic job description, and just put out adverts and so on. And these are some of the issues you get with hiring consultants. Honestly, for me, is even if you have to hire consultants, it's more of you have to work closely with them. Probably you don't have all the resources or some experience in some of these things, but it has to be your sole, your own responsibility. Don't rely on these, templates and generic things. So this just still emphasizing about, getting the right fit. If you don't get the right people, you can't even grow. Don't even try to grow. Limit your growth until you find, the right people. Because like we said earlier, people are the ones that will do this job, and they have to be able to do it. Otherwise, you are just adding your overhead cost, and you won't get the result that you need. Context, is everything. You have to think about your customers, competition, the overall company markets, and so on. So you have to really ensure there's a fit between the business context and the people you are hiring, right? Sometimes you need to hire someone with expertise in the industry you are playing at, especially maybe you want to network and see how you can expand through partnership and so on. So you have to really think about context. And it starts from your vision, right? So at Flexisa, for example, our vision is to reinvent learning and inspire people to make lifelong positive impact. So whatever we do revolves around this. And your core values are also very important. If you hire people that don't align with your values, no matter how good they are, there's a problem. So that's why, there's always emphasis that you hire for attitude, not just, skills. Those skills, if they have the potential, they can easily learn and meet up. But attitude is very difficult to change. And the only way you can, ensure that is by making sure people align with your core values. So we do like behavioral tests when hiring to see that, are these people going to be aligned with us, and so on. So this is still talking about the importance of the core. You preserve the core, which is your vision, your core values. These things don't change, but your strategy, the products you build and so on, over time, they change. So you have to get people that will, continue to help you preserve the core. Then, still on context, the stage of your business is very key. As a startup, the people you look out for will be different from, a matured company. Startup, for example, you want someone with this pioneering spirit, people that are, they are just like the founders. They have this spirit to solve problems, to get things done, and so on. Insurgency mindset. You need to move fast and validate things. You don't want people that are, in a matured company where there are standards, procedures, and so on. You are too careful. You don't want to take big risks. That's not what you want in a startup. You hire someone with all the experience, and honestly, you are just burning cash. They are not helping you. Lean orientation, people that have this lean orientation, not people that will start thinking of, what is my job description? What is the org structure in this organization? Who am I reporting to? How is this linking to that? At early stage, you just want to get things done, quick decisions, and so on. And they have appetite for success. So depending on the phase, you have to really put things into context. I think this has been deliberated a lot as well. Who is responsible for hiring? So it's everyone's job. As a startup, of course, the founder, you can't run away from it. You can't even start thinking about HR or consultant, honestly. You have to start thinking about your co-founder. How do you get them on board? Who are the first early employees? That will be very, very significant in making the business succeed. So, but as you grow, the manager is his responsibility. And that's why the way you appraise manager, how good they hire should be part of, the things you evaluate, because the output of the manager, is the output of his own teammates and how he's able to liaise with other functional units. So the manager is not about doing the job, really. It's just how to manage a team. So that's why if he doesn't care about his team members, then you have to, compete for resources as a manager. You have to, demand and make case for hiring the best people on your team. Otherwise, you are not doing your job. So there's a lot, about this. I mentioned about bias in hiring. As human beings, we can always, it's possible to have these biases. So these are just quickly, I mentioned first impression bias, the way someone dresses or talks, he just carries you away. And all the other things you're assessing him, you are relying based on that first impression. Confirmation bias, maybe you had some good things about him, or also initial things any other thing you are just confirming, yes, you think is the same. The Hardos and Horns effect. This one is, because they have done it before, you believe that they should always be able to do it. So this, you have to also be careful. Similarity and affinity, maybe because they are like you, or they look as smart engineers, or you have similar, probably you happen to see that, you even play the same sport, or you are a fan of the same team, and then you forget that you are actually hiring for something else, and you just keep giving them high rating, jumping to conclusion, turning a blind eye to red flags. Sometimes you see some red flags, but because of these other biases, you just turn blind eyes. Appearance bias, the bandwagon effect, groupthink, maybe because a team lead who is always respected, because he says, this is what he thinks, and everyone will just join the bandwagon. The bias, blind spot, and overconfidence. Avoiding hiring biases, make sure you follow a uniform and proven process. Remember, we said you should have a process and it should be documented. Examine the red flags, do preliminary interviews by phone or email. So the phone or email, the advantage is you are not seeing the person. So the appearance, and other things will not create these biases. So you'll be able to pick a few things even from the phone or email. Do a second interview, do a group interview, depending on the role. For example, our engineering flex staff, there are different stages. You have to do the technical, you have to do the behavioral, you have to do the technical, this thing is like assessment is online. You go and write the code. We have a tool. We test you and see what did you score. Unfortunately, the tool will be able to detect if you are trying to cheat. Did you go online and copy code and so on? If you pass that step, the technical one is real engineers will give you real questions live and see what's your ability to solve problems, and so on. Then the behavioral, then it has to come to management, and so with all these stages, if some people miss some things, another group will be able to figure out, make a pros and cons list, keep an open mind, take detailed notes. So make sure you spice up your hiring, right? You should apply different variety, and so on. These are good examples, of different varieties, spicing it up. This is an IKEA job interview. IKEA is the furniture, company, and this person comes for an interview. They gave him these pieces of, different pieces of furniture. He should just assemble it, and before he can have a seat for the interview. So check references, very important. You have to check their previous jobs, right? Get reference, ask questions. So make sure that's where you get information about their behaviors, attitude, maybe what did they, probably they are even nuisance or fraudsters in their previous work. So you have to check those things. Very, very important. We talked about investing in hiring, very key. Have a budget for hiring. Really don't shy away from that. You end up hiring wrong and you have liability. So you pay for quality. It's good if you have the budget, get good people. It's better to, I think the next slide will explain that more about paying for quality, grow your talent, have a powerful EVP. So it's not just customer value proposition. You should have employee value proposition. Why should they join your company? What's the need for them? How can they grow? What impact do they make? Always be in the market looking for a talent. Sorry, because of time. This is from Steve Jobs. The secret of my success that we have gone to exceptional lengths to hire the best people in the world, from one of the best company founders ever. So this is the point I was trying to say. Pay, especially in Nigeria, maybe in the tech sector, things are changing because of competition, but people want to exploit, right? Some organizations really have the fund. They get big projects, contracts, but they want to exploit their employees. So it's better you pay very well. You get one good employee than getting 10 average ones, and you are paying them small. You think you have enough workforce. It doesn't work that way. So this just quickly, there's no much time, why you need to have a good hiring process, right? So this is like our high-level hiring process, FlexSAF. You are supposed to pay for this. So have the job opening, application process, assessment and application review, interview and evaluation process, job offer and employment process. And each of these further broken down, and so on. But because, we pay attention to hiring right, we even have a talent referral program where if you are a staff and you refer someone very good as you are or better than you, and they are able to, to scale the probation period. So you get paid, for any of those. If it's a junior hire, we pay you 125K, for mid-level 250, for seniors 500. But this, even we need to start reviewing this. It's a bit old. We should make it even much more than this. So I think because of time, these are some of the things I have. Last slide, checklist. Make sure, check, do you have a process that attracts or identifies smart creatives? Now, does your evaluation criteria validate candidates that are smart creatives? Do you have a solid employee value proposition? Or is your hiring process based on generic job descriptions? Do you have an effective method of validating cultural fit based on your core values? Does your hiring process integrate success profiles as a criteria for hiring a good fit? The last one is specific to us. This, of course, like we said, you have to train your managers. So you have to train, as you grow, you have to train people on how to hire. Let them understand all these things that we've gone through. Let them understand why it's important to hire A players, and so on. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Thank you, Faiz. Mentors, I think you're getting plenty of information. I hope you're all noting this down. Okay, so the final presentation for tonight, Owuno. Owuno, you're up next.
Sorry.
Okay. Oh no, you're up
So,
next.
sorry, hello. Yeah, I dropped off for a second. I'm sorry, I'm back on.
Okay. Right, yeah.
Okay. So I don't have slides. I'm just going to speak to a few points that I think are key with regards to this. So just give me 2 seconds. All right. So I think one very important thing when it comes to hiring to notes, right, is that it's not a fixed process. You know, times change, the world changes. You know, they say change is the only constant thing in life. So, you know, we had a time when people go into careers, and it's like you go to university, you finish a career, you finish a course, and you are committed to a career for a lifetime. You know, now there is a sense also in the times that, you know, you can go through 4 or 5 careers. You know, Gen Zs have very different attitudes to work than the more conventional ways we're used to. So these are all factors to consider. So whatever is being said here, please understand that with times changing, this will all change. So I just tried to extract some key points. I think the speakers before me have covered pretty much everything. So I want to talk through 5 points of hiring that I think are very important. One is understanding yourself, right? It's your company, it's your idea. You are uniquely configured like nobody else. You started a company, and you know, your spirit lives through that company. You have different companies that do the same thing, but in completely different ways. I think that the more authentic, you know, you are as a business person, it shows in your company. And likewise, your hiring will be an extension of that. I think also particularly at the founder level, where we have a CEO/COO or co-founders, I think it's very key to truly understand your strengths, be honest with yourself about your weaknesses, and have open conversations, right? And, you know, don't lie to yourself, don't hide from yourself, be honest. Like whatever you are is whatever you are. Deal with the facts and build from there. Secondly, I'd say avoid pessimists. Energy is a real thing, right? And, you know, I strongly believe that the more you can tune into this, and, you know, you see things in people, you feel things in people, you know, don't run away from these things. Sometimes you have people that are completely technically sound for a role, but when the energy is just not right, it doesn't work. You know, over time, you will see it. So learn to learn to understand that. You know, of course, it's a tricky thing balancing that and biases, but, you know, the more understanding about self you have, the clearer all this becomes. Thirdly, create an organizational structure for where you are going very early on. So even if it's you and one person starting, and the vision is pretty clear, think about the work, how it divides out, and you can lay out an organizational structure. Now, you're not going to hire all these roles early on in the days, but what you then learn to understand is that you are going to combine roles. And, you know, at the early days, people are going to wear multiple hats. I'm a strong believer in bootstrapping. I'm not keen on raising a lot of money early on before you need it. So, you know, bootstrap your way through it, wear multiple hats and try and get to where you're going. Next, I recommend developing a hiring process that doesn't have too much to do with the CV. Everybody has seen fantastic CVs and met the person and just wondered, where is all this magic I've seen in the CV? With AI writing tools, professional CV writing services, there are people who, you know, have spent a lot of time understanding how to write a winning CV, even though there might not be substance there. So really develop your own hiring process. I'm a strong believer in trials, right? I think that you can interview and you can talk and you can go a lot of back and forth. And with some roles, it's easier to quantify skill sets in a verbal or an in-person interview. But ultimately, I think the proof is in the pudding. Working with someone is how you really see, you know, who they are and how they are. You know, what's their attention to detail like? How consistent are they? How technically sound or competent are they? Are they good with dealing with people? Can they sell? Can they close deals? You know, these are all things that I think you can establish. So what I tend to do in my organizations and what I recommend as well is, you know, coming up with small projects, you know, small project that can be completed in maybe, you know, 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. And you can, as part of your hiring process, test this project with the candidates. Let them work, let them do something, see how they communicate, see how resourceful they are, how they deal with obstacles, how they work with deadlines, all of that. And then I think lastly, people are magic, right? There's something about the human spirit and the human nature that it's just magic. So, the products, the technology, all that stuff is nice and cool, but honestly, it's people that brings it to life and, make it work. So it's something that I always, try to remember and encourage. You can have the best code and have the best everything, but it's people that bring these things to life. They bring your processes to life. They bring everything to life. Human beings connect with human beings the most, right? So getting the right team is absolutely crucial. Yes, and on that note, thank you everyone very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Una. So founders, have a great session. So we'll go to the last session for the day, which is a Q&A. So if you, there's been so much information, we've been tossed, pushed, so much information out there. So I want to see how many of us have questions and how many want to go and digest the presentations and then come back, with your questions during office hours. So I have just two. Will that be the final? Emeka and Abubakar. Those are the only questions I have. I would not entertain any other question after this time. Any?
I'm sorry. I have a question. I can't find my hand raise button, so I had to unmute and speak. Okay,
so your assignment is to find that button before the second person. So I have three now. Any other? Okay. Okay. And that's all. So we'll go with Emeka first, Abubakar second, John third, and Daniel fourth. Mentors, would you rather they all ask the questions, then you pick, or do we address each question per time? Mentors, which one would you prefer? Una, Faiz, Kate, which would you prefer? Reel out all the questions, or we take them one at a time?
Let's hear all the questions.
Okay.
First, and then so that if there are overlaps, I think we just answer them.
Okay, great. Okay, let me also take out my notepad. Okay, so Emeka.
Thank you so much. I think this is one of the best classes we've had, and probably because it confirmed a lot of experiences I've had. So Zutaba is not my first startup. The first I was in a hurry to employ. And at a point, I think I had close to 20-something staff. A lot of them were full-time staff, were about 8 to 10. Others were freelancers, like they just develop what we need, and then we pay them based on the work they do. And I made a lot of mistakes, which as they were presenting, I could just say, yes, that's what I was just telling myself. Yes, I made that mistake. Yes, I made that mistake. So now that I'm doing Zutobai, I'm a bit very cautious and careful. One of the points Chintan said is make sure you have money to be able to pay. Because even when you want to form agreements with some of these people, they are young people, they need to transport, they need to come to office. So a lot of those people at that stage still need funding, but there's some of the questions, the things I want to ask based on the lessons I've learned today. One of the challenges I have had, and during Pfizer's presentation, I saw that as well. As a startup, you have the difficulty of having enough staff to do all the things you want. So you would have engaged somebody, you give them a letter, you specify what their roles are. And then in the course of your journey, maybe you meet a customer and they need certain things that you don't have hands for. And you now ask this staff, okay, can you do this other thing? To even make it easy, you tell them, drop the core things you're doing, move over to this role. And it's a problem. And I don't know how to go about that. The only lesson I had learned from experience was that in the course of my hiring process, one of the guys that I employed, who is also on my team currently, when I engaged him, he was doing 3 people's jobs with the same salary. Amazing. 3 people's job, and each of the job he was doing it better than each of them. That's when I saw how important this hiring process is. So I do not know the ideas you have in handling that, because it's a problem. I have experienced it a lot. They always say, no, that's not my job description. That's not my job description. And you're like, no, we are still starting. We need you to help us do this thing. That's number one. Then number 2 is, one of the things I experienced as well was that when you interact, you're trying to be nice to your staff. I remember there was a time I was trying to do this Google and Facebook thing where you be feeding them. I was buying lunch until when my money ran out, I had to stop. I was being nice to these guys, but it's like they were taking me for granted. At some point, they started, taking me for granted, maybe because I was always just taking their excuse and trying to be too nice. I do not know where to find that balance between being firm in a constructive way, not in a way that dampens their spirit, but yet also being nice. So those are the 2 questions that I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So who's next? Abubakar?
Should be me, correct?
Okay, yeah.
All right. Thank you, mentors, for your time. And sorry, I won't be able to turn on my video. I'm using my phone. But I have 3 questions, basically. And let me just shoot them real quick. So the first question is, how do you determine fair compensation, especially in, let's say, Nigeria now that there isn't too much data available for, I guess, roles? And then secondly, when should you begin paying yourself salary at this early stage? So let's say you start getting a bit of revenue. When do you know, okay, let me take this portion of the revenue and pay myself and the core team their salaries? And then last question is, what ratio of your gross profit should go to salaries? That's it for me.
Okay, the second question. Livingston. Oh no, John, you're next.
So I have 2 questions and 1 comment. Okay, so first question is it an advisable approach to poach employees from competitors? That is, go to competitors and get their employees, pretty much what I think Etisalat did to MTN and Glow, I think, and they paid them higher, so they could hit the ground running, and these guys already know the domain, so they don't have to have a learning process, struggle and all. So, but they pay the premium for it. So I'm asking, is it good to do that and pay the premium, or pay an average wage, but get good people who would not obviously have that experience from your working with your competitors? Then the second question is for Faiz. He shared a lot of insights, very, 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 very advanced. So, and he said we should be paying for it. So Faiz, how much? That's the question. Then my last comment, after looking at Faiz's presentation, I thought it was a really advanced, and I really thought this is the first time seeing a startup having to go through that. That's every part of the HR system with his company. It's really, really advanced. This is what I go through or used to go through when I was applying to, and only to large corporations. Even applying to medium-sized companies, they won't bother you with this test, that test, and all that. Only multinationals that would even bother, and mostly, yeah, multinationals and those abroad would bother to take you through a personality test, this test, that test. So for his company, which I don't know the size, but to go through to do all that, is it paying off? I'm sure it's paying off, but it's nice to see that though. Thank you.
Okay, and lastly, Daniel.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, mentors. Thank you for the time. My question is very similar to John's first question. So as a gesture to like reducing high talent scarcity, should company like, is it okay or good for companies to leverage qualified employee poaching from other companies? For example, there are a lot of companies nowadays, like of recent, that does that laid off a lot of staffs, right? And from my research data, most of staff layoff are not as a result of incompetence, right? It is usually based off of financial strain or economic depression, right? So for early stage startups to quickly refill their talent base, can they accelerate recruitment process for laid off, let's say, engineers from big techs or like from competing companies whose competence have been established, right? Would that be a solution to refilling talent base as quick as possible? Thank you.
Okay, so we've got the 4 questions. Mentors, Una, Kate, Faiz, wants to take a bite first? Any of them or all of them or anyhow?
Okay, let me just start by actually commending Faiz's presentation. I thought I completely agree with John. But what does that tell you? You know, learning from that is that as a founder, as an entrepreneur, you set the standard of excellence that you want to set. And thank God you're going through this process. I keep saying it, you know, had I the privilege of going through this in spite of my MBA and all that, this is more hands-on and practical. So if you've been through it, you know, you have the opportunity. They say a wise person, actually, they say experience is the best teacher, but a wise person learns from other people's experiences. So here you have Emeka, who has shared some of his own experiences. I have quite a few of my own. The don'ts, or the don'ts, or the negative side, and then you have the positive ones, like some of the guidelines that Faiz has given. And you know, it's beautiful that he's already a mentor. So it's how you own that relationship and learn from it to see. Let me start from the last question, okay? The one that, what's his name? Daniel asked, in terms of people that have laid off. Why did those companies lay them off? Because even if it's not for lack of it's not for competence, any employee that is valuable to a company, the company will do its best to retain that employee. So if it's the one that if the employee is considered as one to be laid off, you know, you want to check and know why, so that it's not the broom that they, you know, the same problem that those companies had with that employee. You don't want to be adopting those problems, especially when the companies are bigger than your own company you're starting. And so buying the vision is the most critical thing. Like, you need people that can buy, because for a startup, there's a lot of sweat equity involved. You want people that will be able to go the extra mile. There's a kind of attitude that you're looking for. So yes, competence is great, okay? And when you're assessing, there are some people, it's a quadrant, right? So there's some people that are highly skilled and have the high attitude. Can you afford to pay them? Because by industry standards, if they're that good, before you reach them, somebody else will be looking for them. So can you meet up with the competition to hire those kinds of people? And then there are people that, when it comes to skill, now at lower levels, it's 70 to 80% skills, attitude if they're young and they're coming up. You know, there are positions that you can fill in with core members where you pay them minimum wage or less than minimum wage because government is, you know, augmenting. So for my company, we use the NYSCs, that internship period, and we have an internship program, and that's the reason for the internship program, where you work with them, you check their attitude, because we've seen highly skilled people with terrible attitudes. They can't work in teams, they can't work, they don't share information well, you know, and all that. You don't need that. You need to be able to retain organizational knowledge. But when you employ people with high skill, no attitude, and they leave, they go with some of your tacit knowledge, and you have to start, you know, it takes you, you go one step forward, 2 steps back. So that also takes me to the answer for the ratio in terms of compensation, determining compensation. So a simple thing that we do, you know, is, yes, there are industry standards. You look at what the industry standards are, but you also look at the employees that you want to hire, get to know a little more about them. You know, where are they coming from? How much will it cost them to come to work every day, whether fueling or, you know, how much in terms of time in traffic and all that. If you were the person in their shoes, you know, what percentage? So you want to make sure that at the end of the day, when they have their take-home pay, to be able to pay their bills, you know, where are they living? What's the rent like? Because the essence of work is to be able to pay their bills. And as an employer, you must be able to, your employees must be able to find fulfillment in the job. So we take our time and we get to know some of all these things. And so depending on the value that they bring and the position, it will just help you for a startup, because you will require a lot of people, you will require your team to make a lot of sacrifices. It comes with the territory. So to be able to get that kind of loyalty, you know, and to be honest, money is not a motivation. Research has shown that there has to be something. There are people leave high-paying jobs for lower-paying jobs because of satisfaction, for various reasons. So you have to find, you know, your team and its alignment with the vision, first of all. When people can take ownership of the vision and run with it, and they can see into the future, they can see what to see. It makes a whole world of difference. Faiz mentioned that, are they just 95 people? Are they just coming for the money? Or, you know, you don't want people, right now, the brand has not gotten to a point where people are coming for the money. You know, they must come for something bigger than that. And so that will determine how you pay, you compensate them. In terms of ratio of gross profit to salaries and all that, again, businesses are a J curve. As you are starting now, probably what you'll be earning will be, your salaries will, your overheads will be more than what you're in year 1, year 2, before you stabilize. So there's no hard and fast rule to that. Whatever you do, you just make sure that you're prudent in your approach, okay? And make sure that you keep costs as low as possible. The wider the ratio of profit to overheads, the better for you. Okay, and I would recommend that you begin paying salaries from day 1. Begin paying salaries from yourself, a salary from day 1. It may be far less than your worth, but start from day 1. Because the day that you're looking for money, it helps you to be financially accountable. So you can manage, you must be able to manage finances well. So if you're not earning, how do you take care of your bills? You will dip into the company funds and you will misappropriate funds. So I am on a salary. It's less than what I was earning 10 years ago, but I am on a salary for my company because I know that I'm growing it. So people know I pay myself when I pay people. When the company is not buoyant, I pay myself last, but just make sure that you're on a salary. And if I borrow money from the company for personal use, I request for it. My accountant knows that I'm borrowing money. At the end of when they're doing their records, they'll say you are owing this. And if I loan the company money, if I'm putting my personal money in the company, they know that it's his owner that is giving a loan to the company. So when money comes, the company pays back. It just makes for easier and better financial management. I think, you know, that would, I would leave Emeka's responses for office hours. My response to Emeka's questions for office hours.
Okay, thank you. We've had some mentors dropping out because of time, so sorry. So I'll try to gloss over some of the questions. Now, founders, it's important. You know, it's said, where there are no rules, there are no offenses. When they say company policies and all of that, it is not a very, very complex document, but it is just a sacrosanct list of do's and don'ts which you need to walk by. Even you as the owner of the company must also realize that the entity is different from you. So before anybody comes on board, set the rules. Don't allow people cross the lines. It's important. Now, one of the mentors spoke about organizational structure. Organizational structure isn't that, oh, what is in the organogram? I have to employ all of them. No, is to understand what the possible need of the organization will be in future. And as the need arises per time, you begin to get them on board. So it's not as if you get all of those lists of positions and you want to fill them up immediately. No, it's knowing where you want to get to and drawing out the framework to get there. Now, you must, Emeka was saying something about, oh, taking care of them and all of that. You are not a Mr. Nice Guy. And importantly, you must realize that your money is different from the company's money. If you're putting money into the business, it is part of capital injection. But if you decide you want to be Santa Claus or Father Christmas or whatever they call them, and you share your money out, please make them understand that you are giving them personally. It is not company policy to do that. There should be a policy that says that if you work at, maybe on Fridays, there's free lunch for everybody. Or if you work beyond 5 o'clock, something that will state that, but don't just make them know that it is not a given. This is a law, this is what we're doing. And I don't think any of the mentors mentioned about headhunting and poaching. Headhunting and poaching of staff is not a negative thing. Do you understand? It is not a negative thing. It's accepted anywhere else. In fact, employees use that as an opportunity. I've had a client whose potential candidate was just anxious to get her engagement letter. You know why? Because she had gone off for an interview somewhere else and she had negotiated a salary with this client, which she wanted to use that letter as a source of a negotiation with the next client. So please, it's not a bad thing to identify what you need and go for it. It's not a bad thing. And we will not mention about, don't get attracted by the CV. Be attracted by what the person has. And importantly, is bigger than anything you want. And for founders, you don't want to start with the wrong people. You don't want to start with the wrong vibe. You don't want to get a disgruntled person. You want to get a team member. So please be careful about how you throw out, you open up your doors and bring in people. Be very, very careful. Uzo, everything FIs listed out is not complex. You can do it within just a minute or two. Just some steps. Make sure, don't be anxious to engage. Take them through a process to be able to study their personality, and then you make the right choice. So Lady A, I'll hand over back to you. Lady A.
Yes, okay. It's been a long evening. Yes, and quite lots of information has been shared. Founders, I hope this has been beneficial. Also, if you go to the back end, you'll see a lot of, reading material. I don't know if you've had time to look at it about hiring. There's one that says serious hiring mistakes and how to fix them. My lessons from interviewing 400 engineers over 3 startups, how to configure your startup team, template of the founders agreement, guide to finding technical co-founders, how to build a strong startup. So a listing of salaries, I think this would be for America, but these are all guides. There's meetup.com, founder dating, Glassdoor, Google, and all. Recruiter box, I find this quite interesting. It says recruiter box is the easiest way to manage incoming job applications. It takes 1 minute to set up, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so there's just so much, a lot of resources, that is of help when hiring. And then FI, we also have the layoffs in the tech industry so that you can so this is open to the alumni, but if even on LinkedIn, even if you don't go to major platforms, you can, put out your job, application, search, yes, for talents. Like for now, you should be able to get, good hands. And again, from the gig platforms, I think that the gig platforms will be our wash now with lots of talent, and their rates, might, just be quite affordable. So be creative. That's what I've heard. You need to be creative when hiring. And for those of you, and also have a budget and hire well, hire right. So for those of you who have made this thus far, I believe that you'll gradually be able to take the right decision. And then the mentors are there for, to have office hours with them for, other things you're not clear about. And we're also there as well. So I think that's all we have for tonight. And we have 4 more sessions left to go. And so your graduation, you need to start planning your graduation, and a committee needs to be put in place for that. So I guess like tomorrow we should put out some information on WhatsApp. Yeah. So you have a last night rest and finish up your assignments so that you can review. All right. So good night. Bye. Yes, Abubakar, I think.